Hi, ladybugs. How's everybody doing? I hope you guys are all doing good. I'm going to come sit down in a second. So I wanted to chat with you guys today about scammers. I thought we'd talk about scammers. And kind of, this is Clarabelle. Isn't she adorable? She is the Lyra kit by Ping Lao. And she is just such a little cutie. I actually had recorded an entire video and my phone shut off. So I lost the whole video, which was kind of irritating. It was like a 20-minute video and I lost the whole thing. So I was kind of like, oh my gosh, really? Anyway, no big deal. I can re-record it. So we're talking about scammers today. So there are a lot of nameless, faceless scammers that make up accounts constantly. And then there are people who are in the community who scam people. So we need to be careful about scammers, no matter who they are. One of the things that I hear a lot of people say is that, you know, they asked for a safety photo and the safety photo was fake. Hi, Clarabelle. See, that's a naughty thing to do. We don't scam people. And so one of the ways that I ensure that someone has the baby, now there's no way to absolutely guarantee 100% that the person is sending the baby that they say they're going to send. And the reason is because you can't watch the box the entire time. You know, once they put it in the box, they could swap boxes. You know, I mean, you cannot 100% guarantee. And that's why it's important to trade with people that you know. But it's also important if you're trading with someone you don't know that you get references. And here's the thing that I find a lot of scammers do. Not only do they do you not know them, but then the names that they give you for references are people that we don't know because they're fake accounts as well. So that it's like, okay, well, how do you get a reference from somebody that you have no idea who they are, right? Most legitimate people in the community, not all, but most, know some big names in the community. So they're gonna give you references for names that you probably have heard or that you can at least look up. If they give you a reference that you look up and really has nothing to do with the Reborn community, or maybe has only made a few comments in a group, that's not a good reference, because if you're asking for references, it means you don't know the person you're either trading or buying or selling with. And then they give you names of references that you don't have any idea who they are. It could be the same person for all you know. So that's where there's a challenge. So I always make sure, and it's okay to ask for references. It's okay to ask for references of the references, but it's a good idea when someone gives you a reference to not only message the reference and ask about the person that you're doing the business with, but it's also important to check out the references, you know, search them on Facebook, see if they're in any of the groups, see if they've posted babies. A lot of times the scammers will have commented on a lot of babies, but won't have posted much. And if they do post, it'll often be different babies every time. There won't be a lot of pictures of the same babies. And we know in the community that that's not common of people in the community. Usually you post the same babies, you know, because they're the babies you own, over and over and over again. So that's one way to look at it. But always check people out on Facebook. Always check the references out, especially if they're names you've never heard before. And, you know, ask for reference, because the reality is if you don't do business with a person, you're losing out on the baby you might have gotten, but you're also eliminating your chances of being scammed. If you don't know them and have never heard of that particular person that you're doing business with, and they give you references that you've never heard of or that nobody you know has ever heard of, then chances are you're better off not doing business with them. Yes, you're going to miss out on that particular baby, but there are always more babies out there. And it's better to not take a chance than to end up being scammed by somebody. Do you know what I mean? I find that a lot of the scammers that I've dealt with, that I've determined were scammers, often they'll give me names for references that I can't verify. You know, I can message the reference, but I can't verify the reference. I don't see any activity in the Reborn community of the reference or of the scammer. And that's where I draw the line. Yes, you might be missing out on a baby, but it's worth it to miss out on a baby if you're potentially about to be scammed. Like one of the things I was talking about in another video is the value of my collection. I mean, we don't just have to include the dolls. We include the clothes. Many of us have vintage clothes that are very spendy. And you guys have seen my nursery. I have metal canopy cribs and bassinets and antique cradles. And, you know, the value of my collection isn't just wrapped up in my dolls. It's the clothes, it's the furniture, it's the bottles and passies. And yes, the dolls are the bulk of that, but they are not the only thing I think about when I think about the value of my collection. And the other thing I want to point out is that, well, yes, these dolls are expensive, and we all probably have a lot of financial resources wrapped up in this hobby, but we also have a lot of emotional resources wrapped up in this hobby. Most of us know are a few people I know who are into this hobby simply for the art of it, and they display their dolls like paintings, or, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. There's no one way to collect. I say that all the time, but for many of us, that's not the case. For many of us, we have these dolls because we are bonded to them, because we have feelings for them, because we play with them, because they bring us joy. Whatever the case, there's a lot of emotional currency wrapped up in this hobby. So when somebody has to sell a baby, and a lot of times they have to sell them for financial reasons, maybe they're having a financial hardship, and they really don't, you see it all the time, hardship sale, they don't want to get rid of the baby. They love that doll. They don't want to have to say goodbye, but they know that for their families and for themselves that they need to do this because it's part of adulting. And so to then be scammed, you don't have the money and now you had to give up, your favorite doll. That's really, really hard. So, that's why I tell people not to scam people. I mean, there's a lot more than just money wrapped up in this hobby. There's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of love and caring that we have for these dolls. They're not just dolls to us. And to be scammed out of one is devastating. Now you've lost the doll and you don't have the financial resources you need to maybe take care of your family. So that's another thing to think about. Now, if you're talking about a trade, you have people who are often attached to their dolls and they're only trading because they really want the other doll. So then when you get scammed, now you've lost the doll you love and you have no chance of getting the new doll that you were hoping would fill that void. It's just a bad situation. Scamming is just bad all around. There's nothing good about scammers. They are just bad people. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people say, well, maybe they're not bad people. No, they're bad people. If you can scam somebody out of, in such an emotional situation, you're a bad person. I don't care, who you are or how you say it. If you can scam somebody in a situation like this, you're in my book, you're a bad person. So yeah, don't scam people. These dolls really hold a special place in our hearts. We're very attached to them, and it's really sad when you get basically stolen from. I run a group on Facebook called For the Love of Babies. We're going to talk a little bit about knockoffs. And I, for the longest time, did not forbid knockoffs in my group. I guess I can say even though I knew it was wrong, I didn't really see the harm in it, which is why I allowed them in the group. But then over the years, I became friends with two sculptors, Ping Lau and Bonnie Sieben, and I got talking to them. And in our chats, I got to see how much pain it actually causes them to watch their creations being stolen, and their intellectual property. It's like stealing someone's car, or stealing the earrings someone's grandmother left. I mean, these sculptors, it can take them months to sculpt one baby. I mean, they put their hearts and their souls into this. This is not a quick thing, where they go into a room and in a couple hours, boom, you have a new baby. This is their heart and soul goes into this. There's really a lot that they put in of themselves that they put into these sculpts, and to have someone steal it and take your creation is, I didn't realize how emotionally devastating it was until I became friends with them, but it's very emotionally devastating. And as their friends, I decided I was going to take a stand on fakes. It is basically the same as you going and stealing from somebody. You know, if you are buying fakes, it's the same as going and stealing from somebody, because you are knowingly possessing stolen property, property that you know belongs to someone and was illegally taken from them, you know? So that's how I feel about fakes. And then my group, we stopped allowing it because I really got to see up close and personal how it affects the sculptors. And I guess even though I knew it was wrong, I had never really thought about what it would do to them. And once I got to know them as people, there, by the way, Ping Lau and Bonnie Sieben are amazing, wonderful women. Um, and they don't deserve to have their creations stolen and reproduced without their permission. That is just offensive, and it really, really is hard on their hearts. And if it keeps up, we're going to end up with more and more sculptors leaving the community, um, because they're going to get tired of their stuff being stolen. And then the community is going to end up falling apart, because if we don't have any more sculpts, there's nothing to collect. You know what I mean? So let's, so just for my own opinion, when I think about knockoffs, I don't necessarily think about the doll themselves, but I think about the harm and the heartbreak that it causes the sculptors, who I consider my friends. And I would not do that to any one of my friends. So that's just my opinion. Let's talk about how you can tell whether a sculpt is authentic. I hear a lot of people say, well, it's got the neck markings, so I know it's authentic. That has nothing to do with it. The illegal sculpts are an exact replica of the sculpt, including the neck markings. I have rarely seen a knockoff recently that doesn't have the neck markings. That is not a sign of authenticity. It is not, it doesn't guarantee any type of authenticity. The best way and the only way to, at this point, 100% guarantee that a sculpt is authentic, because I've never seen a fake that could pass this test, although that doesn't mean that there won't come a time where they will kind of make that happen. But I have an arm here that I brought in for this reason. This is the arm of the 3-month Joseph asleep. But if you look on the flange of the neck and the limbs, there is a number here. This one, I'm not going to read it out, but it starts with JD. One of the ways to guarantee authenticity, because these are put on by the manufacturing where they're manufactured, the plant where they're manufactured puts these markings on. The neck markings with the sculpt and the sculptor's name are put on by the sculptor. That's part of the sculpt. So when they copy it, they're copying that part as well. But these are not put on by the sculptor. These are actually put on by the manufacturing plant. It basically tells you what batch it was and where it was manufactured, that kind of thing. So the only way that I know of currently, even COAs are being swapped around, so you can't even count on that, is to compare the numbers on the flange. So if you were to have a zip tie on here, these numbers would be under the cloth body. They wouldn't be, you'd have to take the limb off, or the neck, the head off, to get these numbers. But compare these numbers to an authentic kit, a kit that you know is authentic, either because the artist who has it, is very reputable, or whatever. But that's the only way that I know of personally to absolutely guarantee authenticity at this point. Now that might become a problem, because the scammers might at some point start copying that as well, and then that wouldn't be a guarantee anymore. But at least at this point, I've not seen a knockoff where the numbers match. I need to fix her hair. Where the numbers match on the flange. That's just not something that I've seen. So hopefully it'll be a while before they get to that point. And we'll be that way. Because once that happens, I don't know how we'll guarantee authenticity. So yeah, that's the way that I know of to guarantee authenticity of a sculpt. Um, I hear a lot of people say, well, I asked for a safety photo and I got scammed anyway. Let me tell you that safety photos can be easily manipulated on, and even I used to tell people to get safety videos where the person is saying your name and saying the name of or the date on the video. But the problem with that is that AI is getting better and better, and so it's getting less and less certain. The only way that I know of now to guarantee ownership is to do a video call, a video chat where you're actually on a live call with the individual. That's the only way that I know of to guarantee ownership, because safety photos and safety videos even now can be faked. So they're making it more and more challenging for people all the time. Every time we think we have a way to identify scammers or identify fake sculpts, they're getting better and better, and we have to come up with something new. So that's always, sorry, I'm looking for something. I had a pair of gray flowers here a minute ago that I was going to use on her because she's wearing gray, but I don't know where I put them. So yeah, so that's the only way that I know of to guarantee authenticity, is by doing, or not authenticity, sorry, ownership, is by doing the video call. And I'm not talking about like someone sends you a video. I mean actually calling on like Facebook Messenger and having the video call, like where you're actually on a live call with the person. That's the only way I know of to guarantee ownership. And if you don't know somebody, definitely, if you're not sure who they are, or you just don't know them well, definitely don't be afraid to ask for that video call, because it's really important to verify ownership. Now, like I said, there is nothing you can do 100% to guarantee you won't get scammed. I mean, once you get off the call, you could watch them put it in the box, and then they could swap boxes when you're not on the call, or even if you are on the call, when you're not looking, they could put the box down and pick up a different box. So there's no way. So it's really about faith in the end, but because there's no way to guarantee that you're not going to be scammed. But it still doesn't mean that we shouldn't do our homework and that we shouldn't be doing everything in our power to protect ourselves. So yeah, we still have to do that. It still falls on us to be as diligent as we can be as far as protecting ourselves from scamming. Hang on one second. I just want to grab some gray bows for her. So yeah, so that's important for us. We have to take on some responsibility, although I understand that the scammers are ultimately at fault if they choose to scam, and I'm not putting that on anybody else. But it's really important that we be diligent and do our homework and do our best to ensure that we are going to that we're protecting ourselves as best as we can. Now, like I said, you can't 100% guarantee that, but definitely do everything that you can to give yourself the best possible outcome. One of the things I was saying on the other video that I didn't actually record is that a lot of times when you post on Facebook, and like, let's say I post a baby and you comment on the baby, and then some weird unknown person comes on and says, oh, you want a baby, I have a baby, come to this group. And then it's one of those groups like Reborn silicone dolls for sale, or Reborn silicone dolls for free, or affordable Reborn silicone dolls, or Reborn dolls rehoming, like those kind of groups. Those are all scam groups. Those are run by scammers. They are managed by scammers, and 90% of the people in them are fake accounts. So generally, if I am commenting on someone's baby and saying so cute, or saying something along those lines, and someone comes and says, oh, thank you for this, if you want a baby, come to this group, I most of the time just block that person, because chances are that's a scammer, unless it's someone who's big in the community or an artist that you've heard of. chances are people don't respond to posts that way. Like if I come to your page, if you post a baby and I come to your page and I say so cute, and then, normal people in the community don't respond to that so cute with, if you want a baby, go to blah, blah, blah. Like that's just not something generally as a community we do. I'm not saying it can't happen, but in general, those are all scammers. If they put a link to a group and it's one of those generic groups with thousands and thousands of members, chances are it's a scammer. So I just block those, and I often post them to warn other people because I want to try to protect the community from being scammed. So that's definitely something to think about. Whenever you see those responses, it's good to block those people because they are 90% of the time scammers. Um, and looking at their not just their own Facebook page, but their activity in the community. If I can't find much activity in the community other than responding to people's comments, offering people to join a certain group, that's an indicator that it's a scammer. So yeah. The other way you can tell by looking at scammers is if you see somebody and you search their name and they've posted different babies every single time they post. That's generally a good sign that they're scammers, because it's not a guarantee, but it's a good sign because, as you know, we tend to have the collections we have and we tend to post the same babies repeatedly. So if you're posting different babies every time, chances are it's a scammer. And so that's one way to tell, but obviously that's not a guarantee. I mean, I hate to say things that aren't for sure because I don't want like new members to have trouble making friends because people are being cautious, but better be cautious than not. Scammers have infiltrated every community, not just ours. They're pretending to sell dogs, they're pretending to sell turtles and birds and you name it. I mean, there are scammers that are just in every community, and it really stinks because it makes it hard to trust people. It makes it hard to go forward. And it just is not right. I don't like scammers. I'm sorry. I just don't. Oh, well, I have another comb, so that's okay. I dropped the comb. I'll pick it up later. But scammers have become a huge problem in our community, and we have to do everything we can to try to protect each other and try to block any more from coming in and deal with the ones we have, because that's just not good. Here's the thing, guys. Don't scam people, okay? There's a lot of finances associated with these dolls. They're not cheap. They're very expensive. And there's also a lot of emotions. A lot of people love their dolls, and it's really devastating to them. It would be devastating to them to have them lost by thievery, It's just not right. Just don't scam people. It's not nice. It brings you bad juju. It's bad karma. It's not good. Don't scam people. Let's just say that it's a blanket statement. Just don't scam people, okay? Scamming is bad. And if you get something out of scamming, you're bringing yourself lots of bad karma. You're not really even getting anything out of it. These dolls are wonderful to have, but the reality is they are not a necessity. They are a luxury, and they cost money. And if you want to have them, you have to pay money for them. Scamming there's no excuse for scamming. I know I saw a scammer, some woman who scammed me once, who said, well, you don't understand. I lost a baby and I felt bad for her. I'm sorry that you lost a baby, but frankly, I don't give a hoot. I didn't make you lose that baby. I didn't do anything wrong. There's no reason for you to scam me. And I really don't have a lot of sympathy for scammers, regardless of what they've been through. I just don't care. My empathy for you ends when you victimize someone else. Yes, you are a victim if you lose a baby. You are a victim if you cannot have a baby. Those are traumatizing and victiming situations. But it doesn't mean that you get to victimize somebody else, in order to deal with that trauma that you had. That's not okay. It's not okay to victimize somebody because you had something bad happen to you. That's not okay, and there's no excuse for that. And I'm sorry if other people disagree, but for me, I don't think that any excuse allows you to victimize someone else. It's not cool. I have lost babies that I've loved to scammers, and it really hurts. And it's not fair because I didn't do anything to that scammer. I didn't their baby didn't die because of me, or they can't have children because of me. It has nothing to do with me. So why should I accept being their victim because they had something bad happen in their lives? Frankly, I don't care. I will give you all the empathy and all the support right in the world, right up until you victimize someone else. And then my empathy dies away. Because then you're not a victim, you become the perpetrator. It's not okay to victimize people because something bad happened in your life. There's her hair. So, yeah, I also wanted to talk about my thesis from college because I think it's very relevant for all of us, but the video is already long enough. So I will do that on my next video. I hope you guys, Ivy Jane says goodbye. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening and get some good sleep and rest. And I will see you guys on the flip side. Good night, ladybugs. Take care of yourselves and each other.